I've now got Jeff Ward. Jeff, how are you?
Hey, good. Thanks for having me.
So, Jeff, you were second up, and you were talking about indigenous innovation. Is that right?
Yep.
I just wanted to say a couple of things. First of all, I just wanted to applaud your courage. And I wanted to applaud the silence. I loved the slides between the West and the East, or not the West and East, the Western world and the indigenous world.
Yeah.
We have lost our way in many respects in the Western world, haven't we?
Mm-hmm.
How do we take the things that you're talking about and get back?
Yeah. Well, I think it's important to just always remember that Canada was born out of many indigenous nations.
Yep.
So there's just a lot of people here who have a lot of great experience on these traditional territories, have a lot to offer. And that has been, all but extinguished in our country. So we're coming through an exciting time where we have many indigenous voices that are rising, and a lot of great contributions to make.
It's awesome. I'm starting to see that I teach one course of entrepreneurs at UVic. I'm starting to see indigenous faces much more so than I ever have.
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting to see it in my consulting work, in my advisory work, and they have a different approach. It's a softer approach, but it's a deeper approach. It feels like it's much more rooted.
Yeah, very holistic.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. And I have another friend of mine who I'm going to bring in right now, Bill. I'm going to pull you out if I don't mind, and I'm going to make room for someone else who I think you know already.
Bill from Manitoba.
That's Bill from Manitoba. So we're going to wave bye to Bill from Manitoba.
I'm from Manitoba as well.
Enjoyed your talk.
Bill, thanks.
So I'm going to pull Bill out. Thanks, Bill.
Okay, talk to you later.
And I'm going to bring in Shannon as well. So Shannon, who is in
very cool
Southern Ontario.
Hi, Shannon.
And so we got Southern Ontario talking to the West Coast with New Zealand there because he's just the best looking guy around. But Shannon, tell us about what's behind you.
What's behind me?
Yeah, what's behind you?
Well, literally, I had my window there and I couldn't, this wasn't working, so I had to put my blanket on top of the window.
It's an awesome blanket.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's one of the blankets that I take for ceremonies. So it's doing double duty right now.
It's awesome. And what is the work that you do? Because I immediately when I was talking about Jeff, I called you and I said I'm going to have a chance to bring this guy right onto the show here, and I thought about you. So what do you do, and how does that relate to what Jeff was talking about?
Well, first of all, I'd like to greet Jeff. Sanantene indigenous ka. And I actually checked you out a little bit after Alex introduced me virtually to you. So I'm really excited about the work that you do because there certainly is a lot of alignment. I am the founder and creator of Sagate Global, and I created the Circle approach to cultural confidence.
Oh, cool.
So I work with socially conscious organizations who are interested in truth and reconciliation and help them with the tools to build their cultural confidence.
Very awesome.
So I'm really intrigued with the work that you're doing, and especially what you mentioned in terms of really amplifying the voices of indigenous innovators. And I also know that when we talk about traditional values, it's a really scary topic for a lot of organizations. How would you suggest that organizations begin that journey of being able to reflect some of those traditional values?
Right. Well, I think getting indigenous voices and indigenous hearts and people involved in the organization and finding roles for them to shine and to contribute those indigenous values would be a good start.
Absolutely. I'm also curious, Jeff, about the technology aspect. That really is something that's near and dear to my heart because, as you know, in Manitoba, we have so many communities in the north that don't have access to the infrastructure. And we know that we struggle with a lot of the jurisdictional issues between province and the feds, and no one wants to pay for this basic fiber optic cable stuff, and I don't know technology stuff at all. But this jurisdictional challenge is a huge issue. I'm wondering if you have any thoughts around that now that you've been working in that tech world for so long.
Mm-hmm. Well, the CRTC has just in the last year, I think even just this year, determined that broadband high-speed internet to be a basic Canadian right, regulated through things.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Through things like your power and your water sort of thing. So, but of course, many Indigenous communities are not connected.
Yep.
And even so, with the CRTC, that regulation, it's I think there's the speed that they consider broadband. I think is just 5 megabits per second, which was blazing fast in 1998, but definitely not up to the standards that would allow a First Nation community to take advantage of some of those connected technologies.
Wow. Well, I mean, it's still from nothing to 5 megabit per second. But if they're going to put a pipe that big, why can't they just put a bigger pipe?
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, so
yeah, it's a bit short-sighted.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They're going to dig a hole, just make it a bigger hole, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And then how does that then, once you've got that, what do you think? How transformative will that be to those communities that don't yet have any internet connection?
Well, very transformative. All the positive and the negative that would come with connecting a community to the world. I mean, technology can be a way to allow a nation to connect with the world. So for commerce or through entrepreneurship, that sort of thing. Like in our company, we're partially a distributed company. And we have people who work for us in the Yukon and in Ontario and in Vancouver. We're here at office in Victoria. And so, technology allows people to work from where they are. We know people are healthier and happier when they're around their root system. So, on their traditional territories where they grew up, sort of thing. That all being said, there are a lot of challenges that some First Nations sort of experience when opening up their world, their nation to the world. For example, youth being connected online and being, everything that you can think of that would be negative with online. I don't think I need to mention them, but I've heard stories also of predators reaching out to Indigenous youth, luring them to the big city, to Vancouver, on modeling or on and then they're stuck in Vancouver and can't get out. So there's a lot of opportunity, there's a lot of challenges, and but overall, I feel like Indigenous people can leverage technology for benefit, and I think I think a lot of nations are going to be investing in technology because I was reading recently about just the concept of technology being in its nature a decolonizing tool.
A decolonizing
because like I shared in my talk, there was a lot of inventions and technologies that were created that directly serve the people in which they're created for.
Right.
So, and only them, and only through their worldview, right? So, as people create technology, and so now I see this up and coming generation of Indigenous technologists that are going to have their own perspective, their own worldview on how we can leverage technology to solve our own needs.
Right.
Through our own inventions as a decolonizing tool.
Right. Awesome. Wow.
And we're already seeing some of that in the work that you're doing with some of the education peoples.
Yeah, I'm super honored. I get to work with so many super cool people. That's the thing in operating a services company where we get to connect in all these different sectors and see, education being just one of them. So.
That's awesome. And hey, Ricky, you're in New Zealand.
That's awesome.
Is there an indigenous? I know there's an indigenous population there, but do you see that? Is that a part of the world that you work in, that you live in?
Yeah, look, it's here too. I'm involved in a business process called design thinking, and one of the core basis in developing new entrepreneurial tools, services. You've actually got to understand who the clients are. And that course you're talking about, we go back, Hank and I, you know, Hank, Alex, we go back to this concept of empathy. And a lot of people don't really understand the full meaning of empathy. When someone dies, you say, I feel for you. That's quite different to really saying, I really understand and think of it. And from an Indigenous perspective, what we think is really important on our side of the history is keeping way down and whoever else, whoever else we're actually talking to. So until people actually get full understanding of who their clients are and what's really important to them, very hard to move forward and build a solution that actually fits not only themselves, but who their true clients could be. So yeah, I really understand what you're saying, and it's pretty much part of the core of what Henk and I do, is you can't start building stuff until you really understand the thoughts and feelings of the people you're actually working for. So your speech was really quite inspirational.
Thank you.
Wow. Listen, thanks, Ricky. I can see that we've got an open mic here, and we've got a lot of noise. So I think thanks to can you repeat all that? Thanks to Jerry in Chicago for a tip. Hey, shut off the mic while other people are talking. So so we heard that. What I'm going to do, I'm going to say thank you for being here, Jeff. Thank you for having the courage to speak and share. And I think that you've given gifts to all the people in the room.
Yes. Did you get one?
I haven't yet. I think my wife.
Oh, yes, I think, yeah. Here's one.
Oh, did you? Well, thank you. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just immediately turn around and give that to someone out there in the audience who people have been watching this for a couple of hours, and we've got people like Dominic, who we haven't heard from yet. He's in Kenya.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm going to be giving.
Greetings from Canada.
Can you just, while I'm holding this up to the camera, can you just explain this?
Yeah, so these are beads that it's a zipper tie, so just to clip on, just to have on your bag or your, just a reminder for the 7 sacred teachings, which I spoke about in my talk. One thing I didn't get a chance to mention was there's an animal for each teaching. And so the beads, the choice of each bead is to represent the animal.
That's awesome. Awesome.
Thanks for having me,
Jeff. Thanks very much.
Yeah, bye, everybody. Thanks
Nice
for tuning in.
you.
Yeah, you too. We'll see you around.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Okay. Wow.